Hi, welcome to the latest video in the series on Irish ancestors, the site and the bunch of ancestors. Today I'm going to be talking about US Census returns. It's going to be a very brief whistle-stop tour. The aim is to just show people in Ireland what there is on potential US relatives, as well as people in the US, what there might be that can connect them back to Irish roots to records in Ireland. To a large, I mean, it's a very big topic, and to a large extent, anybody who's in the US is already probably more familiar with these than I am. So that's one of the reasons it's going to be brief. Anyway, as usual, I'm going to start from the website. So let's go there now. Right, here we are at the site, and once again, we're at this excerpt from the book Tracing Irish Ancestors. And as you can see, it's very, very basic material. It doesn't even mention censuses, God love us. But the fact of the matter is that for people with ancestors in North America or relatives in North America, descendants, collateral branches in North America, censuses are far and away the most important research tool. The reason for that is that there was a federal census taken every 10 years from 1790. The early ones didn't always record family information, names and ages and so on, but they're usable from about 1821 on, because the US changed its size so much over the 19th century. Obviously, the early ones are very much the eastern states, the eastern seaboard, the remnants of the follow-on from the colonies. And then, as well as the 10-year federal censuses, most places, lots of places, tended to have a census every 5 years or every 10 years in between. So if the federal census was in 1850, there might be a local New York census in 1855. The same thing if the federal census was in 1895, there might be a Massachusetts state census in 1895. So they're very well served both with the federal censuses and with the local state censuses. Where to find them? Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to show you the starting point that I would use. This is the Mormon website Family Search. This is their research wiki. Okay, there are, as you can see, there are 95,758 articles and rising. So if we look at North America, and they're very punctilious about making sure the United States is only one part of it. So the United States, we picked the United States. And you have the United States genealogy, birth records, marriage records, death records, census, step by step. Let's pick, say, Massachusetts here, state by state. Massachusetts census records. Okay. And there we are, record type, census. This is a very good way of getting an overview of what there is, what's online, and how to get at it. And as you can see from the federal censuses here, pretty much all of them are online, right up to 1940. One of the wonderful things about the US is that their cutoff for making the census records publicly available is 72 years. It's not 100 years like it is here and in the UK. And that's an entire generation. So, for example, the 1941 is the most recent available. The 1951 or the 1950 census is likely to become available in 2022, so 72 years afterwards, at the end of 2022. So again, if you start from the most recent one and work your way back, you can find all sorts of wonderful treasures. The other point about this is that you can see there is a sort of a synergy between Family Search and Ancestry.com. And for people in Ireland who are used to dealing with the free censuses on the National Archives website and copies of them elsewhere as well for free, it can come a bit as a bit of a shock just how commercialized. You can see here Ancestry, all the dollar signs. It is how commercialized research is in the US. Ancestry has basically got themselves into the position that their name has become not a brand name, but a descriptive name. So, as in Ireland, when you say you're going to Hoover the house, you don't vacuum the house, you Hoover the house. So Hoover has become the description rather than the brand name. Ancestry.com, if you say you're doing research to most North Americans, they will say, oh, send me a link to your ancestry tree. The presumption is that you're on ancestry.com. And if you're talking about US censuses, you are basically, you will end up having to use ancestry.com in some shape or form. There's also a very good collection on Find My Past, findmypast.com, not .ie. And let's just have a quick look at the census records in the United States, what they have. Okay, the census records, okay, they have a good collection. They're catching up with Ancestry, as it were, but I think Ancestry have a bit too much of a head start. So they're very much in second place compared to Ancestry. Okay, let's go to Ancestry and have a look at it. They do tend to try and shepherd you into where they think you will be interested in. You can see here I have said my focus is all collections, but they're telling me they're focusing very much on the UK because they think Ireland is in the UK for some reason. But let's take 1800 censuses and in their search catalogue, and you can see they have pre-ticked the box only records from the UK and Ireland. No, thank you. I'm interested in American. So there are 233 census type records. Let's take a record count, see what the biggest number is. So the 1880 US federal census, there are 50 million records. So you can see you're talking about data sets orders of magnitude bigger than the Irish censuses. You were talking about really, really big things. Let's take the US federal census from 1880 and have a look at the search. And you can see they have done a very good job of making as much as possible of the information collected searchable. And you can also browse by state and locality and township and so on. I'm going to search for Murphy's because I like to find the Irish. And Murphy's are pretty good. Let me, Murphy's who were born in Ireland. Okay, again, one of the problems with trying to find places of origin for Irish people in the US censuses is that they tend to just give Ireland. It's much rarer than it is in the UK census to see Cork or Galway or whatever in that place of birth. So we want a birth, say 1880s, we want them born in 1825, more or less. Okay, we want them, where do they live? Let's put in Boston. Okay, Boston, Suffolk, Massachusetts, USA. And let's search. Okay. There are 7,057 Murphys in Boston in 1880. Surprisingly few. Okay, you can see, again, this is Ancestry standard. A mouse over gives you a summary of the entire record, so you can go through them very quickly and scan. The records themselves, when you go in to look at them, are enumerators returns. They very handily highlight the one you're interested in. So there's a Patrick Murphy, a Mary Murphy, a John Murphy, and a Michael Murphy. And if these are your ancestors, God help you. You can see, again, one of the things you can work out from the census, Patrick is 55, Mary is 55. Again, these are ages to be taken with a pinch of salt. They were both born in Ireland. There you are. Their parents were born in Ireland. John and Michael were both born in Massachusetts, an engineer and a printer. So the likelihood is that Patrick and Mary emigrated separately, married in Massachusetts, and then had John and Michael. So the next stage then, with that piece of information or that probability, you can then go to Massachusetts marriage records, which are wonderful, which give parents' names and so on and so forth. If you can identify the right Patrick and Mary, as I said, if these are your Murphys, I wish you the best of luck, and that maybe you should think about finding another hobby. Okay, Murphys. One of the things as well is I picked Massachusetts because it's a cliche. The Irish went to Boston. One of the things you'll find when you look at the census returns online is that there are Irish everywhere. It's a bit of a cliche of traveling, that the Trans-Siberian Express, you'll be there in the middle of Siberia and hear a Cork accent up the other end of the carriage, and that work out where you went to school and how you're connected and who shared a flat with who. The Irish people like to travel, like to get around. The bug was in us for a long time. So what I'm going to do is go back to the US Census returns. I'm going to take the Oklahoma, an Indian territory, 1851 to 91. Well, these are Indian censuses and rolls. Well, let's see how many Murphys there are on the Indian censuses and rolls. There you are. Betty Lou Murphy, Ruby Milleen Murphy, Richard Murphy, Osage, Cheyenne, and Arapaho. As I say, we got around. Okay. I think I've given you a flavor of just the sheer extent of records that there are covering the US in terms of censuses. I mean, there are lots of other records as well. The censuses are always my first point of call if I'm looking for somebody in the US. And no insult to Find My Past, no insult to My Heritage or Heritage Quest or to Family Search. Ancestry is the go-to place. I wish it wasn't. I wish they were all free. I wish they were all done like the Irish National Archives, but they aren't, and that's the situation. So anyway, I'm going to sign off there. I wish you happy hunting. And if your ancestors really are Patrick and Mary Murphy, I apologize. Thank you for listening.